Air travel turbulence. Massive cuts take effect at airports across the country. Will the system bend or will it break? Plus, snap decision. A judge orders the government to fully fund food stamps. The White House is fighting back. And Elon cashes in. Tesla shareholders just handed Musk a pay package that's out of this world. The stories that matter, clear and credible, from across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News. Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Political gridlock is now turning into runway gridlock. The Trump administration is ordering airports to slash flights as the government shutdown drags into its sixth week, impacting travelers nationwide. The airlines have already canceled more than 800 flights, according to FlightAware. The FAA ordered 40 of the busiest airports in the country to cut traffic by 10%, a direct result of air traffic controllers working without pay, stretched thin by a nationwide shortage. Airlines like American, United, and Delta say they're trying to rebook most passengers, but for many travelers, it's the final straw in a standoff that shows no signs of ending.
Well, I almost canceled my trip because I was like, I don't even know what's going to happen. And then I just decided, all right, we're just going to go for it and see what happens. But yeah, it's just all unexpected. I'm just sick of it. It's like, what about us?
The FAA calls the cuts a proactive safety measure to reduce fatigue and burnout. FAA Administrator Brian Bedford says flight levels will return to normal once staffing stabilizes, but warned that if conditions worsen, more cuts could follow. And with Thanksgiving travel a little more than 2 weeks away, many flyers are already wondering if their holiday plans will be grounded also. A major ruling to tell you about this morning. A federal judge ordering the Trump administration to fully fund food stamps this month after sharply rebuking officials for what he called deliberate delays that risked leaving millions of families without aid during the government shutdown. Judge John McConnell said, quote, "This should never happen in America," calling it unacceptable that low-income families have gone nearly a week without food assistance. He ruled that the USDA must immediately release the full Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, payments to the states today, using emergency funds the agency had resisted tapping. New York Attorney General Letitia James, who joined one of the lawsuits against the administration, said, "I am relieved that people will get the food they need, but it is outrageous that it took a lawsuit to make the federal government feed its own people." The Justice Department says it will appeal, leaving SNAP benefits in limbo for now. The case stems from the Trump administration's decision to delay or reduce payments during the shutdown, even though the USDA admitted it had access to billions in reserves. Judge McConnell called that move, quote, "arbitrary and capricious," saying 42 million Americans, including 16 million children, rely on SNAP to eat. So far, no comment from the White House on the ruling. Day 38 of the government shutdown and another vote expected later today in the U.S. Senate to try to break the stalemate. This time, Republicans are dangling a new incentive, hoping Democrats will take the deal. CBS News is reporting that Republicans are adding language to the bill that would guarantee a future vote on extending health care subsidies set to expire under the Affordable Care Act. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says he's hopeful enough Democrats will proceed. Meanwhile, some GOP leaders are floating the idea of changing the filibuster rules just for this vote to reopen the government with a simple majority of 51 votes instead of 60. The resolution itself would be a clean bill with no add-ons or policy riders. But even inside the Republican Party, support for that so-called nuclear option is limited, meaning for now, the shutdown grinds on. The U.S. Senate has voted against a bipartisan resolution that would have required congressional approval for any military action by the Trump administration against Venezuela. The measure failed by just 2 votes, 49 to 51, even though it only needed a simple majority to pass. Republicans Lisa Murkowski and Rand Paul broke ranks to join all 47 Democrats in support of the resolution.
The message all of us should send to the President of the United States is quit engaging in illegal actions in the Caribbean and international waters, blowing up boats and people in an extrajudicial fashion. And when it comes to Venezuela, stop making these threats and amassing military assets off the shore and claiming you somehow have the authority to do that.
Never in the history of our country has a Congress terminated a military action because they did not give permission to the commander-in-chief. Never in the history of the country the Supreme Court ruled that the Congress has the power to terminate hostilities simply because they disagree with the president. Because the day that becomes the norm, then you've taken the power of the commander-in-chief away from the president. You conferred it upon us.
Just hours after that vote, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced another strike in the Caribbean, saying a U.S. drone hit a boat trafficking narcotics. It's the 17th strike so far in what the Trump administration calls its campaign against narco-terrorists in South American waters. So far, at least 69 people have been killed in those operations. Well, he just got one giant step closer to being Earth's first trillionaire. Tesla shareholders have approved a massive new pay package for Elon Musk, worth up to $1 trillion if he hits a list of sky-high performance goals. The plan, approved by more than 75% of shareholders, would give Musk over 400 million Tesla shares over the next decade, but only if he takes the company's market value from roughly 1.4 to 8.5 trillion. That's a 455% leap and would make Tesla more valuable than any company on Earth today. At Thursday's meeting in Austin, Musk told cheering visitors that the company is about to embark not just on a new chapter, but a whole new book. Tesla's board says it's about rewarding his moonshot performance, but critics call it unchecked power and runaway capitalism. For a bit of perspective, this comes the same week New York City elected a tax-the-rich mayor. Two Americas and extremes. One voting for billionaires, or trillionaires in this case, the other voting for a socialist who vows to rein them in. Finally this morning, it might not be Elon Musk money, but the Mega Millions jackpot just keeps climbing as the game hits its longest streak ever without a winner. There have now been 37 straight drawings without a winner. And tonight's lucky number 38 is worth an estimated $843 million, the 8th largest in the game's history. The last time Mega Millions went this long without a winner was back in 2020. That streak also lasted 37 drawings before somebody finally hit the billion-dollar jackpot. Your odds tonight, 1 in 290,472,336, which is why they used to call it a dollar in a dream. By the way, the drawing is at 11 p.m. Eastern. Now, we bang the drums about these jackpots all the time, right? Because it's fun for everybody to, hope and dream just maybe you might win. What would you do with the money? But you know what? Holiday time is coming up. And just think of how much good you could do if you won. Just giving to like the Salvation Army, food banks that need it so much, the VFW, other causes like that. You know what? Giving without worrying about the cost. Wouldn't that be wonderful? All right, just my thought for the day. All right, before we head out, here's what we're tracking today. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy speaks this morning at a Breitbart News event in Washington. At 11, Grammy nominations drop for the 68th Annual Awards. Then at 2 o'clock, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth addresses the National War College. He's expected to push new Pentagon acquisition reforms. By this afternoon, the legal team for New York's indicted Attorney General Letitia James will ask a judge to dismiss criminal charges in a mortgage-related case they call political payback by the Trump administration. Hey, we're the fastest, fairest few minutes in news, so tell your friends about us. You can always watch us on SAN.com or our app, or stream us on Spotify. By the way, balanced is not a buzzword for us. It's certified. All Sides calls us unbiased. NewsGuard gives us a perfect score for reliability. Facts first, without the spin. Those are your Unbiased Updates for this Friday. We'll see you back here on Monday. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a fantastic weekend.